Greetings everyone, welcome back to Snowtown and Blade Bias. It's finally time. I say that every time, but it's finally time to talk about my week with the Nabalis Wing. A extraordinarily hyped product that I wasn't expecting. A lot of people have been interested in this thing in a way that I really didn't expect. I mean, it's a very cool design, but coming right off the heels of the Vault Pro, I didn't think Nabalis could do it again, and here they are doing it again. When I unboxed it, I had a ton of problems with it. Not a ton of problems, but I had some problems with it. Most notably, wait, before I get into that, Nabalis provided this product for free. Thank you, Nabalis. I appreciate it. They did not have any influence over anything that I am saying in this video or the previous video. So take that for what you will. But they sent it over for me to make a video on. Okay, cool. Now, I had a few problems with it out of the box. Most notably, the grip and the chaplains. And both of these have subsided slightly, but they are still a problem. The grip is not as bad as I was giving it credit for in the unboxing video, but I would describe it as highly inconsistent, where sometimes you do a trick and your fingers are aligned so that this is a very grippy texture. Sometimes they're aligned where your fingers will just slip right through these little grooves, and these little grooves are so slippery on my model. So slippery. So you get a balisong that has inconsistent grip, which I almost think is worse than bad grip. If you have a balisong with bad grip, I don't think the Prisma Pro has bad grip, but I certainly don't think it has the best grip out there. You know what to expect, so you can adjust your flipping accordingly, which is why I never have problems with well-designed aluminum balisongs. While they may be more slippery than titanium, it is a consistent amount less, and you can adjust for it. You can get used to it. The problem with the Wing is that you can't do that. You can't predict when it's going to just lose grip on you and when it's going to be grippy enough. So I find myself having a lot of trouble dropping it sometimes, just because I hit a patch that I'm not expecting, fingers slide out, boom, it's on the floor. Now, Den, I swear I can never predict this guy because I really thought he was going to dig into this thing for grip, said it was one of the most grippy balisongs he's ever felt. Grippy aluminum balisongs he's ever felt, pardon. So your mileage may certainly vary on that one. But I found it to be inconsistent. I've been having a few problems with it, but I don't think it's as bad as I presented it in the initial video. Also not as bad, but still an issue for me, is the chaplain. The chaplain is not as uncomfortable as I made it out to be in the video. I've gotten used to it since, especially since it was still cold from being in my mailbox. I think that made the problem worse. If you live in a cold state, you ever get that feeling where like your bones are fragile because they're cold, or like you're extra sensitive because you're cold? Maybe it's only me and maybe I need to see a doctor, but that's what I like to... That's what it felt like. Like it made, I think the cold made my finger hurt a little more than it would have otherwise. But I still don't find this chaplain particularly comfortable. I think it would be a massive help so that my finger was not resting right on that corner there, which, you know, I had the same problem with the Superfly, and they fixed immensely, you know. Yeah, the Superfly just feels so much better to chaplain. I love how quickly BB Barfly implements some feedback that they get. But yeah, this thing, not the most comfortable chaplain out there. I think this is just because I have small fingers. So if you have bigger fingers, chances are your finger will rest further up on the spine. You won't have the issue. But mine, like I showed you, my finger is landing right on that angle, and it just doesn't feel great. But those are my really two biggest complaints, and they're not as bad as I said they were in the last video, but they're certainly still pain points for me. Otherwise, the Wing has been pretty good. I like the design of it. I think the ano on the 7075 aluminum is great. I think the blade is designed amazingly. It looks really, really good. Some people have been saying it's like a kukri style blade. I don't know if I agree with that. Kukri usually kind of juts out a little bit more than this, so I would call this more of like a Bowie adjacent kukri, or a kukri adjacent Bowie, either one of those. But kind of just preference. I mean, you look at the Impusa is just far more, like, it just sticks out further. So while it still looks awesome, I don't know if I would give it the full kukri title. But it flips good. I will say the blade, while we're speaking of it, is sharp, genuinely. The tip is about as sharp as a live blade would be. In fact, it's probably exactly the same as a live blade would be. And if you put enough force into it, this edge will hurt. Not going to, like, maim you or anything, but it's not going to feel great, you know, if you land on the wrong side of a chaplain. But other than that, it feels good to flip. The grip overall is fine. It's inconsistent, like I said, but, you know, it's fine. It's got these rounded handles, slightly rounded handles, kind of like the Prisma Pro, which I really like. The jimping does absolutely nothing. I've been trying to do ladders a little bit over the last few weeks, or over the last week, and I have had issue after issue laddering on this thing. If you're good at ladders already, you might not have as much of a problem, but if you're learning, definitely not the best option for you out there. But the flipping itself is pretty good. It's still slightly handle biased, and we'll get into comparisons with the Vault Pro later, because I know everyone's going to ask. But it's not as handle biased as the Vault Pro. Definitely has a little bit more blade weight, a little less handle weight, whatever you want to say. And it flips good. Chaplain's good, fan's good, choker fan's good. I find easier choker fans on this than the Vault Pro thanks to the rounded handles. But it genuinely flips good. It flips good, it looks good, and it's at a fairly good price. Although I do have a problem with it that we'll get into, I guess, right now. Oh yeah, the finish is pretty good. The side channel, speed channel things don't really do too much for me, but the finish kind of makes up for that. So, you know, no huge issues there. Now, the price. I think the price is fair. I think the price is more than fair. I think it's a good price. My problem comes with the fact that it comes 1 month after Nabalis has released the same price point and is now the third trainer that they have at the $140 mark. Now, I have been kind of notorious for calling out another company, Squid Industries, for having a very, very congested lineup. And while I think choice is amazing when you're trying to buy a product, I don't think it's any secret that the QC out of Squid has not been, you know, stellar the last year or so. The issues with the Nautiluses, I've heard terrible issues with the Tsunamis, Squid Trainer pins, all of this stuff. Mako's breaking. I mean, that was a while ago, but still. So I like having choice when it comes into the eyes of the consumer, but when it feels like, and I'm not saying this is what's happening, but it feels like Squid has increased their product lineup and aren't able to keep up with the QC side of things, which I think is a huge problem when you're still implementing things and products to your lineup without fixing some of the core issues that your community has been bringing up, like I've seen from a lot of people with Squid products. And I think that problem is only going to get worse with this new project that they've been teasing on Instagram the past few days. So Squid's lineup is very congested. You have things like the Triton and the Mako, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really see a reason to buy a Triton over a Mako. Maybe you want the extra blade steel, but or the extra durability in the blade steel, but like the Triton, from what I understand, still is not like hardened. It's a whole thing. And then you've got like the Squiddy AL and the Squiddy A, or the Squiddy AL and the Mako. I'd get a Squiddy AL over the Mako, or maybe Squiddy AL over the Squiddy A. Anyway, I don't want Nabalis to go down that same path. They have 3 things for $140, and 2 of those things have released within a month of each other. I think that could be a problem. I hope it doesn't go down the line where they just have this massive product lineup of everything overlapping each other and kind of causing problems to the end user. Especially since these 2 products, I think, have successfully killed the Trident. I know Brandon, hates the Trident. I thought it was fine, but even back in the day, I would have still taken, a Hydra over it. So now that you have these 2, I don't think the Trident is really even in the race. But I will give credit to Nabalis. I think this is a fine overlap. The one exception that I have in Squid's lineup to their cluttered kind of, setup that they have is the Squid Trainer and the Swordfish. Two balisongs that go for the same price but are so different and so on the opposite ends of the spectrum that there is a genuine choice to make there. They don't cancel each other out. They don't compete with each other. They don't cannibalize each other. It's a genuine choice by the end user which one they want. And I think that's kind of what we have here. What an extremely long-winded way to get into that. I think this is just going to come down to preference. And what would my preference be? That's really tough. Because I prefer the ergonomics, the handle shape, and the flipping of the wing. I think the wing flips a little bit better to my preferences, and I prefer the slightly rounded handles for choker fans. I think everything else goes to the Vault Pro. Comfort, design, grip. Even the balance, isn't even that far off my preferences, to be honest. So it's not like I would pick the wing over it. I don't know. It's just such a tough thing. I think the Vulp is genuinely designed better and is far more comfortable. I think the wing flips a little bit better and just... I'm a sucker for rounded faces. I'm sorry, man. The Prisma Pros got me. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know which one I would pick over the two. I think they're both great. You do also have the thing of this is a false live blade. This is just a trainer. So you could, go off of that if you wanted to. But yeah, it's a tough choice because blocky handles, round handles, slightly more handle biased, slightly less handle biased, false live blade trainer. You can take out the screws. There's no adjustment here. G10 for grip, machine texture for grip. So I don't know. I do think it's a little weird that they came out so close to each other and at the same exact price point. Granted, the trainer for the wing is $20 cheaper. So if you're just doing a trainer to trainer comparison, they're not really in contention with each other. But still, this is going to be a huge decision for some people to make. So we'll see. Nabalis' lineup is already fairly cluttered, I think. There's a lot of balisongs in there. And they're only continuing to grow, recently revealing some titanium thing that they're working on. So we'll have to see how that goes. But long-winded side tangents aside, I like the wing. It's not perfect. I do think I would spring for a few other things at the price range, most notably maybe a Prisma V1. But I think it's good competition, especially because of the materials that it's made out of and the design. And I'd recommend it. If you think it looks cool, I'd say, yeah, you're probably going to like it. As for this question, though, I genuinely don't know. I don't know. What's the better overall package, in my opinion? I don't think I can answer that. Like I said, I have preferences to pick both of them. I think I would go with the Vault Pro. The Vault Pro was a balisong that I was like, yeah, I would buy this, even if they didn't send one to me. I don't know if I would do the same for the wing. I think I'm just going to rotate the wing out of my, rotation of flippers over here. Flip something else for a little bit. But I do think it's good. I like it. So there we go. That's my week with the wing. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up or leave them in the comments below. And I will see you all in the next one. Yeah, pretty cool balisong. Especially this little design right here. I like it. I'm a sucker for holes in blades. If this was a hole in the blade, ooh, that'd be really cool. Anyway, later.